morning, everybody. All right, well, thank you so much for coming out today. Yeah, this is just always a great occasion. This is actually only my second SCP graduation, but it is, thank you. But it is the first one where I have seen the process from start to finish. I started around this time last year, and so I came in and it was like, oh, okay, this seems like a really great program, but don't know too much about it. But for this year, I was in the whole process of being able to be in the recruitment and the selection of the students, to working with the site supervisors and contacting them and finding the right pick and spot for the students, to actually having the program and now being here today. It has been wonderful getting to know all the students better and to see them through this process with their internships, with the discussions and presentations we had during the Thursdays, to see them grow and develop as a group of building community, and being that's a central part of the program of them building community amongst one another. So it's been great to see that and those relationships develop between them as well. I want to thank the site supervisors so much for giving your time. We do know that it is a commitment to have an intern and to be able to be there for them and to give them assignments and to see their growth and their development. I know a lot of the sites were sites that we have used in the past for SEP, so I want to thank the people in the Career Center, Lori Dekoff, other people on the selection committee for building that relationship even before I got here, so that when I said, hey, it's an SEP student, a lot of the sites said, yes. You know, a couple of sites called me even before the process and they were like, so, hey, you gonna send me one of those SEP students? And I was like, oh yeah, sure, yeah, let me figure out, what I'm supposed to be doing. And so, and then I'll send you your way. So thank you so much for developing those relationships, so it makes the process easier for us and for the students as well. I want to thank the people on the selection committee. I want to thank presenters who came throughout the summer: Elise Nelson-Weger, Scott Sheridan, Liz Vales, Kaya Jai, and I'm sure I'm forgetting some folks. But thank you so much for contributing your time to coming to speak this. Brandon Common, sorry Brandon, to speak to the students. I also would just generally like the students, thank you for everything that you did, for being present. The great thing was that we connected SEP with the annual theme next year is the Evolution of Revolution. And so SEP always has a theme, and our theme was Evolution of the Revolution as well. So that fit perfectly, right? And the book, the summer reading book, was Between the World and Me. And so this summer reading book for SEP was Between the World and Me by Ta-Nehisi Coates. And it was just a great connection. And so the presenters, had that topic. We talked about the book, and we discussed the book, and we unpacked the book. And I thank the students for being open and for being willing to talk about these tough topics. So the presentations today will focus on their internships. So 4 students will be talking about their great experience with their internships, and 4 will be talking about the book Between the World and Me, and 5 will be talking about activism at IWU. So all the themes that were presented during the program and in the book and during the presentation. So it will be a great day, and they will showcase just the work they put into their presentations and the time they were here as interns with the program. So again, thank you to everyone. Thank you for the community that is here. Thank you to Meg Miner for very much. Kayla, thank you, Kayla Carruthers, who was our student aide during the summer, and she kind of was a jack of all trades. She was helping me with Milano pre-orientation, but also with SEP and doing some research that I wanted her to do about African American student activism. So thank you, and thank you, Meg, for being available to show her the archives and all that information so that we could have that information on hand. So with that said, I will stop talking and I will hand it off to the president. Thank you, President Jensen, for coming. So he's going to say some remarks.
Thank you, Greta. I'll be brief. I want to, and I'll be brief because I've been talking to people at my table who are, to a person, chomping at the bit, wanting to get up and talk in front of me. I know this. I'd like to echo Greta's thank yous to everyone. This is a big undertaking, and it works because we're a community and because we all pulled together to make this happen. There was one name left off, and that's yours, Greta. Thank you, and well done. These kind of things are very exciting to me because they're fundamental to who we are, to what we are as an institution. The notion that each one of you can do these identifiable projects that are close to what it is that you want to do when you leave here, that give some value added to our partners in the community. You actually bring to them a skill set that they don't have, an ability to analyze projects, to do the kind of work that needs to be done that they wouldn't otherwise have been able to do without you, and that's huge. When you leave here, you're going to be faced with employers, potential employers at some time. They're going to say, what can you do? And you're going to say, I'm glad you asked. Let me tell you about this SEP project that I did this summer. And probably then you'll go from there. Let me tell you about this and let me tell you about that. These are the kind of building blocks that make you the truly special people that Illinois Wesleyan grads in general are. So congratulations and well done. I'm going to get out of the way because I'd like to hear more about the projects, but well done.
Okay, so also, and I'm sorry, and I think because I knew I had time to thank them as well. So I'm going to call up Hannah Miswani and Frankie Resto. So Hannah is the new assistant director of ODI, and Frankie was the SEP intern. He was a part of the NASPA program, the NUF program, and he's been an amazing intern. He's great, and we're going to miss him. He's going to Michigan State for grad school. So if you want to come up, and then they're going to say some remarks, and then they're going to present the students, who will start with the presentations. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I will keep my remarks brief. I'm Hannah Miswani. I have been at IWU for only 2 days longer than the SEP program, so they have very much symbolized everything that IWU has become to me and shown me the greatness and all that is possible on this campus. I want to thank the students first and foremost for being so welcoming, being so shady, but also for being so inspiring and all that they have done. With open arms, you welcome me here, and I really very much appreciate that. To Greta, thank you for being a role model throughout. Frankie, you know what I think about you. I kind of want to make him cry because I know there's going to be lots of tears today, but I will keep my remarks brief again and just say thank you all for being here. These students have put in a lot of hours of work, a lot of heart, a lot of sweat, and a lot of soul into the presentations you're about to hear, and getting cheesy on you as always. I couldn't be more proud of you.
I just kind of want to echo, thank you so much for coming out today. We've been planning this for a very long time. Me and Hannah kind of started on the same route. I just graduated from Northern Illinois University, so I'm transitioning, as Greta said, to grad school in the fall. So I'm pretty excited. But me and Hannah got to work pretty closely for the summer, kind of like learning the ropes as we go, right? Like building cars you drive. So I would say my first initial reaction to coming here was oh, I'm kind of nervous, right? This is my first internship experience where I'm actually working with students, right? This is what I want to do. And then I was I found out about this program and just found out that the core values, the mission, and just really impacting students and really inspiring them to make a difference on the campus and within the community. I think that's really important as well. So I know the first day we got here, we had some Chipotle, which everyone loves, right? And they were just sitting there really quiet, not speaking. Oh my God, what do I do to kind of get them to speak, right? But that was kind of the trend throughout SEP. It was a slow progression in which no one really wanted to speak. They're kind of just sitting there oh, but I've really seen a lot of growth within these students. I think that starting from beginning to end, there's a huge transition within their internship experience, as well as kind of getting them out of their shell to kind of speak about issues. And I know a lot of them have a lot of things to say, they throw a lot of shade at me all the time. But it's awesome to kind of have that experience to work with them one-on-one. a couple experiences that I've had with them that are like pretty amazing that I thought. One was being able to visit their internship sites. I think that it was fantastic to kind of see their space and see what they were working with over the summer. Just because we only really got to interact with them on Thursdays, it was nice to actually visit the site and see the really cool things that they're doing at their internship sites. So I'm proud of all of you for that. Also, I would say Antoinette gave a really awesome poem one day at our SEP Thursday. It was kind of random. We do journal entries every week, and she gave like a really elegant poem, and it was like pretty long, and it was just like, wow, like, you know, like these students have a lot of different talents that a lot of people don't know about. So I definitely encourage you to get to know them, because I know they have a lot of different hidden talents out there. So that was pretty cool. And I think one of the last ones was Jasmine. We went to an escape room, and Jasmine was like running around like, you know, a chicken with her head cut off. Like she was just like going from place to place, like, you know, I'm solving this and I'm solving that. And that was pretty awesome to see. Just kind of to get to see them outside of the SCP Thursday was pretty cool. And lastly, I just want to give great recognition to Greta and Hannah. They're like family now. You know, it's crazy to think that only 2 months goes by and you can have such a great experience with somebody. So as a supervisor, thank you so much. As a coworker, thank you. You've helped me grow, and I think you've helped these students grow a lot as well. I can see a real connection, and I can see that the work that you do is really impactful for the students. So, after that, the students and I want to present to both of you flowers, just as an appreciation for everything that you do. So and I know flowers is only a little bit, but I think some of those subtle like affirmations and thank yous are really important. So I encourage you all to kind of get affirmations, especially students to supervisors and supervisors to students, because I think that shows a lot of growth and it really brightens up someone's day. So thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited to present all these presentations. They worked so hard on them. And I hope that you enjoy them, and I know you will. So. So our first presentation is going to be the internships. So it's going to be Alpha, Connie, Gus, and Olivia. So if you want to come forward. These students, well, like all of them, have experienced their internship for the last couple months. They've done some pretty awesome things within their internship sites. So I'm going to let them kind of share what they did this summer. So if you give them a round of applause.
Hello everybody, good morning. My name is Alpha Moreno and I'm going to be the first to talk to you about my internship. So really quickly, we're just going to introduce ourselves and does this even work? Can you hear me like this? Yeah. Use this? Okay. So I was at the Action Research Center here at Illinois Wesleyan.
I'm County. I'm at a special Olympics Illinois University Center.
I'm Gus. I interned at the Illinois Justice Corps.
I'm Olivia. I interned at the YWCA.
Okay, so back to me. So I am currently a rising junior and I am a business major and anthropology minor, and I'll be talking about my internship experience. So I had the Action Research Center, and here I have the mission statement: to relentlessly pursue innovative ideas that transform communities, and the vision is no one will stay Wesleyan bubble ever again. And I personally love that statement because here at Illinois Wesleyan, people usually say it's a bubble, and having this opportunity, it's really great that we had the opportunity to go out there in the community and just like put our names out there. So I really enjoyed that. And our partner organization was the West Bloomington Revitalization Project, and their mission statement is a tad long, but it is driven by the voice of residents. The WBRP leads impactful collaborative efforts of neighbors and local stakeholders that honor our historical and cultural roots, build on the pride and strengths of our neighborhoods, and empower residents to be leaders and achieve a vision for a better community. So the West Bloomington Revitalization Project is responsible for a lot of things that really help out the community. So they have the tool library, they have the bike co-op, the Veggie Oasis. So if you've heard of any of that, that's all thanks to the West Bloomington Revitalization Project. So my responsibilities there was the first project that I had to tackle was the commercial properties project, in which I was continuing a project for a student who took an action research class, summer class, and basically my job there was to keep track of all of the commercial properties, and let me tell you, there's 140 commercial properties in West Bloomington, so it was a lot. So you bet that I got to know West Bloomington as I drove down every single street at least 10 times. So the whole point of that is so that we could keep track of all the properties, so that if somebody wants to create a business here in West Bloomington, we have that information. So if properties are in use or if they're vacant, we know that these properties are there for them. The next project was the bench project. So last year, the WBRP had the bench blitz, in which the whole purpose of it was to create benches so that we could put at bus stops. And unfortunately, Connect Transit couldn't fund it right away, so there was a long pause. So luckily this year we had 5 spots on West Market Street approved, so that's exciting. And the whole purpose of the bench project is so that the main method for a lot of West Bloomington residents is to use bus transportation. So if somebody's going to work or has grocery shopping, there's that stopping point that they could just rest. So I also made sure to find other locations so that we could just put our benches on private residences and just have that accessible. And then we're still working on the branding of the WBRP, so that's still going on. The next project was the demographics profiling, so that's just to make sure that we have all the information for any future grants for the WBRP. So luckily the city of Bloomington had that information, so now we know how many people live in West Bloomington, the ages, the race, the income, so I was really grateful that that was at hand because it's not an easy thing to just look up. The next thing were the smaller parts were working at the tool library. So if you don't know, the tool library is in West Bloomington on Washington Street, and basically the whole purpose of that is so that not everybody can afford tools, or they don't need to buy a tool for one-time year usage. So luckily we have that, in which people could just sign up their membership, and it's a 1-year membership, and you can just renew it whenever it expires, and you just rent out a tool for a week, and if you need to extend that, just give us a call. But I had to staff that, and I was just so grateful to see the movement from the old building to the new building. So I just kind of grew with the new building, and we had this one day where we just cleaned up everything, and we just made it look significantly better, and it's just really great to see how far it's come. And it's truly humbling because I've had people come in and say, it's great what you're doing here, and I don't know what we would do like if you weren't there. So that was a great experience. And then the last project was the home repair project, and that was a last-minute project, as in this Monday was thrown onto me. And so basically, I just started that so that we could just have all the receipts into a single spreadsheet and just have all that information on how much they have spent and how much per home repair has been done or will be done in the future. So that was my time and my job there. So what did I gain from it and what was my experience like? Changing my major a handful of times. I've learned that without this experience that I would have never seen myself doing anything like that. I was on the marketing team. I worked with the economic development for the WBRP, and it was just really, it was a great experience because it just really put me out there and made me step out of my comfort zone. It's really building the car while driving it, as Vicky said, and as my supervisor, Bevan, would say all the time. So it's just really nice to just let your creativity flow, and it really challenged me there, and I'm grateful for that. So my experience, like I said, was truly humbling, and it was just great overall just to see the community come together and just everyone working towards the same goal. So thank you to Bevan and Deborah at the Action Research Center and SEP for giving me the opportunity to have such a great experience. Thank you. I'll pass it on to Olivia.
Thank you, Alpha. I've never used a mic before, so this is weird. Again, my name is Olivia. I am an English writing major and a rising junior here at Wesleyan. I had the privilege of interning at the YWCA this summer. There's so much I could say about the YWCA and everything that they do. So I'll just give like a little preview of it and what I've done over there this summer. So the mission of YWCA is eliminating racism, empowering women, and providing peace, justice, freedom, and dignity for all. And they really live this mission in everything that they do, everything that they stand for, with all their programs and their presence in the community, as well as with their values, courage, compassion, and commitment. So I'll give an example of how they use the mission and the values in everything they do. So, as many of you know, the Civilian Review Board was recently passed last Tuesday, I believe, which is a board made up of community members to review the civilian complaint process for the Bloomington Police Department, and along with a bunch of other organizations like Black Lives Matter, YWCA took a lot of commitment and courage and compassion to be able to get this passed and to stay on top of things with advocating for it in the community. So these are, I won't go through all of what YWC does because it's a lot, but here is what it all is, and it goes so much further than that, as you can see with the Civilian Review Board work. They're constantly looking for new ways to help the community and help make it more inclusive for all types of groups that reside in McLean County. So, the summer went by super fast, but I did manage to get a few things done in the process. So, a big project that I worked on and spent a lot of my time on was home care services. So, home care services is geared towards anyone over the age of 18 for like after surgery care or for the elderly if they need help with like everyday tasks in their home, or just like transportation to and from doctor's appointments. So we wanted to increase advertising for this service and really gather more clients. So I was in charge of creating a contact list, a list of businesses for that we could go and present to and get the word out about this service. So I created that, and I also created a brochure for it that we would use for this presenting about the service, as well as brochures for Labyrinth, for Stepping Stones, and for Young Wonders. And then in addition to writing for the brochures and everything like that, I was put on social media, which was really cool to see the behind-the-scenes action of a small business on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, and seeing how they really put the word out about all their programs and events that are happening in the community. And then one of my favorite parts of the summer was our Disney dance that we put on. So our marketing team, it consisted of all of us right there. We were put in charge of putting together and planning this Disney dance, and it turned out really great. Like, we worked so well as a team, and it was so successful. And some of us got to dress up as Disney princesses, and I was Ariel, and this little girl showed up also as Ariel, and she followed me around the whole night, and it was super cute. And then in addition to that, this past week I was able to interview one of the Stepping Stones counselors and hear about all that she does and write a story about her, and that was really cool to see a whole other part of YWCA that I didn't really get a preview of for the rest of the summer, so that was really cool. And then I gained a lot from this internship, most especially professional writing skills. So as an English writing major, I focused a lot on creative fiction type writing, and coming here, working on the brochures and writing the story about the Stepping Stones counselor, I was really able to see a whole different side of writing in English. And also teamwork with the Disney dance and with all the other work that we were doing throughout the summer. We collaborated and we bounced ideas off each other, and it was really cool to have a whole team that you could count on and really rely on for their opinion. And then lastly, I learned that I would love to continue working for a nonprofit. I love everything that the YWCA stands for, and I love knowing that the work that I'm doing is directly helping the community. So I want to say a special thank you to my supervisor, Christy, and to the YWCA for everything that you have allowed me to learn this summer. Now I'm going to pass it on to Con.
Hi everyone. So I'm going to talk about Special Olympics, and then just to introduce myself again. I'm Yang Yuan, and I'll go back County. I'm from China, and I'm a rising senior. Sorry. So for the mission and goals, Special Olympics hosts yearly round sports training and athletic competition in a variety of Olympic type sports for children and adults with intellectual disabilities. Athletics, so it enables people to participate as productive and respected members of society at large by offering them and by increasing the public awareness of their capability and needs. So people really develop physical fitness, demonstrate their skills, and experience happiness through the training and competition. And I found the oath to be really inspiring, which is let me win. If I cannot win, let me be brave in the attempt. And so during the past 2 months, I have chance to attend a lot of events. For example, I volunteer for the powerlifting in the summer game, and it was really inspiring, and I was impressed a lot by the people's courage and determination. People keep challenging themselves, and many of them actually reach their personal best in the game. So I really saw the joy and the sense of satisfaction from them. And so I really realized how important the organization is to those athletes and then their families. So I really feel glad that I can contribute my effort into this organization to make a difference. And so I'm going to talk about my daily responsibilities and my reflection of doing accounting. And first of all, I really, so I learned a lot, and I improved both professionally and personally during this time. So first of all, I really learned about the world of accounting, and I realized the difference between really actually doing accounting at work and learning accounting from school. So I really want to thank my supervisor, Cindy, for giving me a smooth transition by really taking time to show and explain things to me. And application along with her help really helped me to understand accounting better. And second of all, and then also. I'm just going to talk about reflection first. So my problem-solving skills also improve along the way. Every time I try to resolve a problem or auto-balance problem, and my organization skills also improve along the way. And also improve personally. I learned myself better, and thanks Frankie and Hannah for the site visit that I can know and then my strength and my weaknesses. And also I thank to my supervisor's feedback to me. And so I really learned my strength and learned how to apply them into professional settings. And also my weaknesses, and I'm really glad that I know my weaknesses right now, so I can improve, and then I can work on those issues to prepare myself for any future challenges. And then, so one of the main weaknesses I have to mention is the Excel skills. I really want to give that as a tip to future accounting interns, that I really wish I had more advanced Excel skills that maybe I can do even better. And I'm sorry, I have to go back to the daily responsibilities. So I basically process and maintain accurate financial data to help better management decision making. So I entered journal entry into the financial system after each transactions occurred, and so in the beginning of each month, I will also do bank reconciliation to make sure all the numbers are balanced and are accurate. If there's any problem happen, I need to search for errors and adjust the entry into the system. And other than that, I did 4 projects. And then for those projects, I manipulate data in Excel to highlight the data variances and trends. Sometimes I will also need to develop graphs to demonstrate those trends. And one achievement I had is that I actually found a mistake that like $40,000 got miscoded wrong, so got miscoded in the system. Yeah, so and then that was really kind of sense of achievement that I found them. And the last question jobs in your office. And now I'm going to pass on to Gas.
Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you're all having a splendid day. My name is Gus Castro, and I'm majoring in political science and philosophy. I'm an incoming junior, and from my internship experience, I interned at the Illinois Justice Corps, which is located at the McLean County Law and Justice Center in Bloomington downtown. And so, what is exactly Illinois Justice Corps? Well, it's an innovative program through which members like me help guide people who can't afford a lawyer or other means to make it more comfortable and easy for them to access the courthouse for them. And what does that include? It includes enhancing the available experience, enhancing the availability through limited means, and encouraging them to pro bono work and educating them about the rights and responsibilities under the law. And what does that mean for me on a daily basis? Well, it means explaining the legal process through either specific or general questions they have for me, and offering them resources and referrals, such as getting them in contact with a self-help website known as ALEO, which stands for Illinois Legal Aid Online, or giving them contacts such as a nonprofit organization or a public legal service like Immigration Project or Perry State Legal. Now, I also help assist them in helping and find correct legal forms they have to do and turn into the circuit clerk to start a court case or a hearing and such. And if need be, I help accompany them across the courthouse if they don't, to help them complete the next steps of their legal process. And with that all said, as a general reflection of my experience, I want to focus on 3 main points, which is what did I learn about the profession, what skills did I gain or strengthen, or how will my internship experience impact my future career and goals. So firstly, what skills did I gain or strengthen? Well, being an Illinois Justice Corps member, I expanded my knowledge about the Illinois legal system. I improved my communication and service skills, and then I'm able to be more flexible with people and help them, talk to them through the process under, understandably so, distressful times, and help them support them through that distressful time. I also learned how to gain organizational skills to help, and by what I mean by that is when they run a form for me, I'll help them identify, and out of all the forms that are available, I help them identify which one is correct and what order they need to go for them to fill out and turn into a circuit clerk. And perhaps most importantly, I learned how to fix a copier. What did I learn about the profession? Well, I learned that everyone needs help. And what I mean by that is typically people think that people who are low income and uneducated need my help. But that's not the case. It's actually everyone from across the spectrum. And what I mean by that, using my experience, I've learned that I've had to help I've had to help a 16-year-old girl who's losing custody over her child to a 66-year-old wealthy property-owning man who doesn't know how to start a small claims case. And why is that? Well, it's become increasingly difficult for people to successfully navigate the legal system without a use of a lawyer or such. And I can pinpoint 2 reasons that I've experienced for that reason. And one of them is that there's a changing of legal terms for people that don't understand and who only have common knowledge of this. And I'll use the example of custody. Custody back in the day used to mean like gaining back custody for your child and such. but nowadays we changed the name from custody to allocation of parental responsibilities. Now, people who are common knowledge and don't know about this change or are not even lawyers wouldn't know that allocation of parental responsibilities means the same thing as custody. So that's one difficulty people have had. Another has been people are unable to use their phones in the courthouse. As of June 1st, people can't bring in their phones to the courthouse because of across all of the state of Illinois, because there's the fear that people will videotape and take pictures during a court case or hearing. And while this is a justifiable reason, the thing is that people really need their phones, and it's been a disadvantage to them because they need that information that they have their phones and would most rightfully so not have in their heads to fill out forms like names, addresses, and locations and such. So those have been two main reasons that I've experienced. And how has my internship experience impacted my future goals and experience? Well, it's been the first introduction for me and exposed me to the legal system. It increased my interest into helping in the local community more through legal means. And I've made personal connections in the courthouse with key public figures like the chief public defender and such. And so I just want to take a moment to pause and thank my supervisor, Jenna, for helping me. She's been an amazing supervisor. And you're my first supervisor I've ever had in my internship, and I couldn't have asked for a better one. And I would also like to thank LaShawnee Brown. You're my friend and colleague, and you helped me. You know so much about the law and legal system, and you don't even have a law degree. And you help me function every day in the courtroom. I can have that. As it can be seen, the SCP program not only helped me, but everyone in the SCP to participate in a unique, rich, diverse opportunity to help improve our community passionately. And I just want to take this moment to say thank you all for everyone at SCP. You've actually helped me become a better person. I was just some guy who wanted to breeze through life, but you all, with your stories, inspired me to become a better person. And to the audience, I encourage you to listen to everything they had to say after this presentation. They all have something deep to say, and they all have their own unique stories to tell. And thank you.
Tearjerker, right? Thank you guys. I thought that was awesome. Like I said earlier, like these internship experiences are so important to them, and I love how they kind of wrapped it up to kind of show how all these different individuals are doing a lot of different work within the community, and it shows just like their growth and their potential. So the next group is actually going to be Between the World and Me, and it's going to be James, Jasmine, Antoinette, and Anna.
Hi, I'm James. I'm a rising senior and I'm a psychology major.
I'm Antoinette, psychology major, rising sophomore.
I'm Anna Kanai. I'm going to be a senior and I'm a business major.
I'm Jasmine. I'll be a sophomore in the fall and I'm a computer science major.
So, as Greta mentioned earlier, SCP and incoming freshmen were both assigned to read Between the World and Me. And a little bit about its author, Ta-Nehisi Coates. He was born in September in 1975 in Baltimore and showed a natural talent for writing and a passion for books at a young age. He attended Howard University for journalism and worked as a journalist for the Atlantic City Weekly and Philadelphia Weekly, and moved on to be an editor of the Atlantic. He authored several books, including We Were 8 Years Empowered, The Beautiful Struggle, and of course, Between the World and Me.
Okay. So before we get into the book, I got a little activity for y'all, and I hope y'all participate and really think about the statements that are being said. So just raise your hand if the statement applies to you. Raise your hand if you've ever been judged by the way you look. Raise your hand if you've ever been discriminated by the way you look. And finally, raise your hand if you know somebody who's been a victim of police brutality or have you ever been profiled against. So just think about those statements throughout the rest of our presentation and let it resonate with you. So a little bit about the book. Ta-Nehisi Coates wrote a letter to his 15-year-old son about how to live the Black body in America. He showed his son these abilities by sharing experiences and harsh realities of growing up African American. Ta-Nehisi Coates focuses on a lot of main key points throughout the book, but the two we're going to focus on today is racism in society and the impact of the education system. It was a mix of shame for having gone back to the law of the streets mixed with rage. I could have you arrested, which is to say I could take your body. Instead of Ta-Nehisi Coates using statements like your life, he referred to it as your body, to refer to African American bodies. And you can also bring this statement back to slavery when they use us as tools. But our body is not always our body. Trayvon's body wasn't his body. Michael Brown, Eric Gardner, Sandra Bland, the list can go on and on, but I guess I'm gonna stop there. But a lot of people have been like victims of police brutality. Ta-Nehisi Coates referred to your body as just that, your body. It implies that you have no worth in society, no value of life. In today's society, police officers look at you as a lifeless person. So of course, the victim of police brutality will take your body from you because it's just that, your body, it was never yours from the start. And just something to relate to that, a small little like personal experience. I was coming into SEP, it was in June, me and my mom and my auntie. We was on the expressway and we got pulled over by a cop. And my first instinct, I'm scared, what's going to happen to my body. And then just thinking back to it, it was my body, it wasn't my life. Because at that moment, the police officer had my life. I didn't have responsibility of my life anymore. So, just thinking of that, like police brutality is real and it's kind of hard for most of us. And with that being said, I'm gonna let Anna take the rest of racism in society.
Okay. Okay, so I chose this quote. It's America makes no claim to the banal. America believes itself exceptional, the greatest and noblest nation to ever exist, a lone champion standing between the white city of democracy and the terrorists, despots, barbarians, and other enemies of civilization. So, I think that this means he was talking about American exceptionalism, which is the idea that our history is better and different than anyone else's history, mostly because we have all these freedoms and rights, but if you don't like look a certain way or not white, you don't really have the same access to these rights as everyone else. So we judge and condemn other countries for the way their government is run and the way their people are treated, but we have to like look at ourselves and we fail to acknowledge that we mistreat our own people and that we are not a perfect example. America kind of imposes itself on the less civilized. Just because people don't look a certain way, they're targeted or profiled, detained, and killed. Police officers that are supposed to be protecting us get probation when they kill people of color. But you know, you kind of always see those like Facebook videos where there's like a crazy white guy with a gun and he gets like apprehended without being harmed. So it's hard to watch those. Yeah, okay. Also, so by imposing ourselves on other countries, we kind of try to fix their problems because our example is the best example. When we invaded Iraq, because of the way their government was run, wasn't the best example of ourselves because it didn't really work out. We say, like, our own democracy isn't perfect. Yeah. So everyone has the right to vote, but our voter turnout is one of the lowest. It's really hard for poor people who are mostly minorities to get to polling centers or to get the certain IDs and paperwork they need. There's also, if you don't have like transportation, it's really hard to get out there. So people are discouraged and they don't vote. So that's not really a perfect example of a democracy. So overall, I think Coates was trying to convey how America is proud and will take responsibility for whatever they think is good, but they won't hold themselves accountable for the bad things, you know, like, yeah. So I guess I kind of want to, my dad is like just a regular white guy, and he got pulled over. He gets pulled over all the time. He's a crazy driver, and every time he just like flashes his government ID or whatever, and he never gets in trouble. And he's my dad, and I love him, but I don't think that's fair, you know, like. So yeah, so I just think our government is kind of, it shouldn't be like the perfect example. So, okay, sorry.
All right. So my name is Jasmine, and the quote I chose was, "The fearless boys and girls would knuckle up, call in cousins and crews, and if it came to it, pull guns, seemed to have mastered the streets. But their knowledge peaked at 17 when they ventured out of their parents' home, discovered that America had guns and cousins too." So, the greatest lessons are the ones that you don't get taught, the ones you don't remember. And the communities that Coates is referring to, in order to master the streets, surviving is the #1 priority. And schools, unfortunately, become the second. And the schools are not really representative of the reality that these students are living in. And so we see the lack of black students represented in higher education because all odds are against them. They can't win. Coates said earlier in the book, fail to comprehend the streets, and you gave your body now, but failed to comprehend the schools, and you gave up your body later. So when these kids, they get to the age where it's time to leave their house and think about their futures, they realize that America does have guns and cousins. And in this America, education means that you can be well off and you don't have to worry about mastering the streets. Without school, it makes it nearly as possible, especially if one is black. So systematically, everything is against you, and education is just one of them. So this topic resonated with me because the community and elementary school that I grew up in was predominantly black, and most of the students didn't go to college. So when you live in those like communities of like violence and poverty, you kind of stay in like this little bubble. You don't really get to get out as much. So I'm grateful that I got to get out and like experience college and experience like new opportunities. But it saddens me that most of like the people who I grew up in are still in those communities and don't really get to experience the things that I've gotten to experience just my 1 year here at Wesleyan. So I'm going to give it to Joyce.
So my quote is, "When our elders presented school to us, they did not present it as a place of higher learning, but as a means of escape from death and penal warehousing." While every parent tells their child that school is the key to a better life, what Coates means is that for him and many students like him growing up in city schools in poor neighborhoods, there's a sense of life and death. Coates goes on in the book to mention that he felt shackled by both the streets and the schools and ended up resenting the schools more. Public schools oftentimes receive funding based on the performance of their students. Schools in poor neighborhoods and city schools predominantly filled with black and minority children lack resources to help their students compete at a level that merits higher funding. This lack of funding creates a lack of resources, and that creates a cycle that goes on and on. Many black students are now at an even bigger disadvantage, not only outside but inside the schools. Contributing to this disadvantage is the school-to-prison pipeline, an epidemic where students of color are suspended, expelled, or even arrested for minor offenses more often than their white counterparts. And now they proceed in their life so early with a criminal record. 70% of students involved in in-school arrests are black and Latino. Black students are 3.5 times more likely to be expelled than white students. And black students are also 2 times more likely to not graduate than white students. Black and minority students are not failing to achieve college readiness at proportionate rates because of a natural lack of ability, but because our education system is failing them. Coates, like any other parent, wants better for his son and wants better for the Black youth of America. This book, in general, really resonated with me because here at IWU, Black students make up only 4% of the student body, and Latino students make up only 7%. And as a freshman, it was kind of hard to relate and adjust. It just made it that much harder to relate and adjust to the rest of campus when you're not seeing more people like you or more people understand where you come from. And so I'm grateful that this book was chosen this year, not only for SEP, but also for the incoming freshmen, because it could open the door to creating a better and more understanding Illinois Wesleyan. So, thank you.
Thank you once again, guys. I thought that the reflections that we had during SCP Thursdays were pretty solid, right? And a lot of the information that they presented today was the information that we talked about. And it was just wonderful to have a space in which they can talk about these issues. And these are experiences that they're having, right? And I think that it's always important to kind of discuss those issues. So thank you again. So can we give them another round of applause? And also, I just wanted to mention, we're going to do questions afterwards, so if you have questions, start thinking about them, and we're going to do it after the last presentation. And speaking of the last presentation, the last one is going to be the evolution of revolution, activism at IWU, and it's going to be Brianna, Jill, Monica, and Vishnu.
Good afternoon. We're presenting about activism at Illinois Wesleyan. My name is Kayla Carruthers, and I am a rising sophomore.
I'm Brianna Williams. I'm a rising senior.
I'm Monica. I'm a rising junior.
I'm Vishnu. I'm a rising senior. I'm Jill. I'm also a rising senior.
Okay, so before we get into the presentation, I would just like to say that a majority of our presentation is based off of personal experiences. So I'm just going to ask that you all respect all of the stories shared today, especially because everyone was brave enough and comfortable enough to share them with you all. And another thing that I would like to clarify is the definition of MALANA, which is M-A-L-A-N-A, and it stands for Multiracial African American, Latino, Hispanic, Asian American, and Native American students. So without further ado, we're going to open up our presentation with the sharing of experiences, so I'll be going first. So my experience was, I was working in the Hanson Student Center, kind of just by myself, sitting in the building, and then a group of white students walk in and they're playing music. And in that music, the N-word is repeated multiple different times, and so they're just sort of like screaming along to it, and then they just sort of notice me sitting behind the desk looking like this. So they look at me and they're saying, they just kind of like all at once, all attention is on me, and they're just, oh, we can't say that around her, she's black. And so feeling uncomfortable, I just sort of got up and walked around the corner, and then I hear the music resume, and then I hear them resuming saying the N-word over and over again. So I just kind of like stayed back there until they walked away because I felt very uncomfortable going back to the desk. So I'm going to pass it off to Brianna, and she's going to share one of her experiences.
Hey, so I had a similar experience with a former teammate. So she yelled, "What's up, my N-word," across campus, and two of my other former teammates, they dragged her away saying like, "Oh, you can't say that because she's black." And that same teammate dropped the N-word several times without the school year. And then another incident was another former teammate. She like the same way that I don't like wash my hair or comb it. So, yeah.
For me, I'm a tutor, a Spanish tutor at Buck Library. Many of you might not know, but it is a requirement for students here at Wesleyan to take language. And for some reason, many students think Spanish is the easiest one, and even though they don't like it or they feel forced taking it, decide to take Spanish. It is also a requirement for them to go through a Spanish session every week. So I have encountered many people who, like I said, don't want to be there. They feel forced. And for me, I was talking to this white male who didn't want to talk to me, was just there quietly. And then he said, well, if you like speaking Spanish so much, why don't you go back to Mexico? You can speak it over there all you want because we're in America now.
Unfortunately, I haven't had a really pressing incident happen to me, but to two of my friends who are also Indian, they told me about a time when they were in the science building, just talking and minding their own business, when a white male came down and asked them if they had voted for Trump, and when they said whatever they said, he basically harassed them, saying, "Oh, why didn't you? You should have this, this, and that." And only when it was time for classes to start did that discussion end, but they felt very harassed and violated.
I was with a group of students walking outside, and one of them took one of those, those signs that say, "No matter where you're from, you are my neighbor," and he picked it up and he broke it in half in front of my face, and then proceeded to shout that we are going to eradicate all of Islam and all of your people are going to leave this country, and harassed me for about a block or two. And we were with a group of other students, and no one said anything, no one helped me. I just had to, try and stay calm, and until I got to a place where I felt safer, to exit the group.
Okay, so before we talk about current issues at Wesleyan, we're going to look at the past. So Wesleyan's had a long history with activism and issues regarding diversity. So as I was searching through the archives this summer, I was noticing several overlapping themes when it came to some of the concerns that current Moana students are facing at Wesleyan today. And one of the more shocking things that I noticed was that in 1970, there were 75 incoming freshmen who identified as African American, and this was not including other students of color, so which is a lot more than it is now, so which was really surprising, just because you would think that we had come further than from the 60s. So before we move on to discuss our main topics, I would just like to first say that we came up with and identified these issues long before I looked through the archives, before I started to notice the parallels between Wesleyan in the 60s and the 80s, which you'll see later out through the presentation. So I'm going to hand it off to Brianna to talk about bias reports.
Okay, so hey y'all. So a potentially helpful yet underutilized tool that we have on campus is an online form called Incident Bias Report. So when students, faculty, or staff have experienced or witnessed some form of discrimination on campus, the form helps document the who, the what, and the how. However, many students or faculty, or I guess students, don't know that this is a thing. So by knowing that this form exists, students feel like they do not have the support or are valued by the university, and that often leads to anger towards the institution, and these feelings can possibly impact the marginalized students in a negative way, affecting their academics or even their social life. So to encourage marginalized students to report incidents of bias or microaggressions, the incident bias report form needs to be more advertised at the beginning of the school year and become more visible on the campus website. So when the incident comes, they just go to the school website and fill out the document. Another issue with the incident bias report is the fact that the process of reporting someone and the outcome of the report is not well known. So we ask that the person who files the report have a follow-up with the dean of students or someone who looks over the reports at some point in the semester, just to make sure that the student feels comfortable on campus, the issue is dealt with, things of that nature. We know that faculty have a safe zone and diversity training, but it's optional. So those trainings need to be mandatory for faculty every year. I remember making a report against a professor my sophomore year, and I never heard back from anyone to check on how the student-professor relationship was throughout the semester and how the university planned to address the professor and her bias. Considering that discrimination on any level is not new to this campus, those who have multiple reports filed against them must attend a diversity and safe zone training. And if the problem persists, then a probation period should happen where the faculty or student goes through more extensive training of safe zone or diversity training. Marginalized individuals should not have to feel uncomfortable on a campus that is deemed their second home, while the privilege can just ignore the problem when it's systemic.
So before we discuss diversity training, we're just going to share a couple of different microaggressions, different things that people have said to us. So for me, people have actually been surprised when I mentioned my father, as if they were surprised that I had a dad still in my life. So I'm going to pass it to Monica.
For me, I was recently told that I was the reason why this person voted for Trump.
Various students have come up and asked me, where's your dad? Do you worship cows? And a number of other things. And I think that goes to show that these are not isolated incidents. This happens very frequently to many different students. And so that's why we believe that increased diversity training, not only for students but also for faculty, would really help alleviate prejudice on campus. And one of our ideas was that during Titan orientation, there could be a dedicated evening activity where students would be taught about, like, what are microaggressions? What is the difference between covert and overt racism? We have we have an event dedicated for alcohol awareness and for sexual assault. So I think it would be really helpful to also have one for diversity and inclusion. And not only should our first year students be taught this, their orientation leaders need to be educated in this as well, because they are the first face of the university that our students are interacting with, and they're supposed to be a support system. Also, there should be more training for our faculty that covers fostering like a more inclusive environment in the classroom for all Milano students, because if our professors are saying things that are hurtful and disrespectful, then it makes the students think like that, oh, it's okay for me to say these things as well. Also, the RAs in all the dorms should get more training as well, because these are the people that we're supposed to be able to talk to when there are issues, and we should feel comfortable and know that they're going to be understanding and respectful of us. And this is not just an issue currently. Here is an excerpt from the Argus from 1985, and it said, and this is a letter to the editor, and it says that the students are completely distraught with the amount of subtle prejudice, and then they give some examples. So this isn't just happening now, it's been happening for a long time, and there has been very little change.
Our next point is really important. Many students from Wesleyan graduate and go on to work all over the country. And this same country is, as you can see in the first table, it's getting more and more diverse. And so we believe Wesleyan should also follow that example. The second table shows the minority numbers in Wesleyan compared to the US as a whole, and there's a big difference. So we are asking for better recruitment programs for students of color. When we apply to the university or when we visit for the first time, many of us are told that there is a significant amount of diversity here at the university. But once we get here, if we don't go through the Milano pre-orientation program, it can take us a few days or even weeks to see someone else who looks like us. And that's really not okay, because we don't feel welcome if that's the case, and we want to feel more comfortable and like we can be ourselves here at the university. We are aware that there are some programs, and we thank the university for that. One of the ones that that I have knowledge about is the Universidad, which focuses on recruiting Hispanic students. But we also think that these programs that are already in place need improvement, and we should expand and create more programs to attract and recruit more minorities. We're also asking Wesleyan to offer more full-time positions to professors of color. It is important for us to be able to have a faculty role model that we can see, so we can feel, again, more welcome, and we can feel like we can be just as successful as that role model. And this can be achieved through a better work environment to retain these professors. And again, like it was mentioned before, training could be a good idea or a good way to start fostering this environment. We know there's a few professors of color already here on campus, but many of them are not full-time, and we would like to have full-time professors. We're also aware that there's some type of advisory board that recruits and retains faculty of color, but we haven't really seen many or major visual results. So that just goes to show that it needs improvement. We still have to work on that, or even create something else that can help on that. To diversify more the college, we also believe that it's a good idea to offer more diversity courses. We are aware that there is already a requirement to flags that students have to fulfill, U.S. diversity flag and the global diversity flag. But these flags are so broad that students can get away with taking a class about science or about language and still fulfill these requirements and not even encounter topics of racial issues that are really important today. Some examples of courses that we thought were a good idea to offer are topics like Black feminism, women of color in the U.S., civil rights, and ethnic power. And it would be even better if these classes were taught by professors of color because they will add value to the learning experience since they can share personal experience and teach from firsthand. It is important to emphasize again that we're not the first to ask for things like this that I just discussed. In a letter to the editor for the Argus in 1985, students said that they like to state that unfair representation on any governing body is unconstitutional, and they also questioned whether or not IWU had an affirmative action program for faculty and administration. So again, just to emphasize that this was more than 30 years ago, and we're still asking for the same things.
Alright, so I'm going to talk about Student Senate and how we feel like we don't get a lot of support for our cultural events. The first point is that we want the categories to be broadened and more specific. For example, I'm a part of South Asian Student Association, and every spring we host a big event campus-wide called Holi, and it's the celebration of colors. And we need $500 to purchase all of the rice powder for everyone to use. And it's a free event for all of campus. And going through Student Senate, if we put the rice powder in the other category, we only get $200. And if we put it in the food category or the decorations category, we get $300. So we've been struggling to get the $500 we need. And so far we've had to go through the chapel to get that done, which, I mean, that's great, but that's not how it should be. And cultural RSOs, as I said, they host events for the whole campus, and we don't understand why it's so hard to get money or why Student Senate can't be more respectful of our needs. For example, there's a club called Equestrian Club, and I think it only consists of 2 students, but they get enough money to go travel to their events, and it's only 2 students. Our events are for the whole campus. And also, we spend a lot of money to be here. This is not a cheap school, this is a very expensive school, but we don't get the representation that we need, so that is another issue. And the lack of Student Senate support on our events also leads to less of a student outcome. If they put their seal on our events or supported us with giving us the right amount of money or helping us with posters and things like that, then more students would be likely to come. Another issue is I've heard some of my students, my Caucasian friends, say that these events aren't for them, they're only for the groups who are putting on these events. But that's not true at all. It is for everyone, and it's a way to help everyone learn about a new culture or a new religion or ethnicity. And basically, the point is that we need to be included on this campus, not just tolerated. Alright, and so this is an excerpt from the Argus back in the 1980s. And it says, concerning the IWU Student Senate, the aforementioned problem becomes twofold in nature. Not only are our cries for justice neglected, but they are passed down like an unwanted plague from disoriented administration to a completely misinformed group of college students. That's another one of our points. Most of the students don't really understand how Student Senate works, and Student Senate is supposed to be for them. And also, Senate did not adequately respond to the needs of Black students. This was back in the 1980s, as I said, and this is still happening now and with all multicultural groups.
Okay, so in terms of outcomes, we determine different outcomes if all of these things were improved upon or implemented. So our first outcome is that there would be increased retention rates of Milana students and faculty. So like if this campus learns more about the issues surrounding Milana students and those who identify as Milana, we would feel more comfortable staying here. After all, why would you want to stay somewhere that you're merely tolerated? So our second point is that there would be increased campus-wide participation from Milana students. So as I said earlier, comfortability in mostly white spaces will increase because some people don't feel comfortable being in a space where you're seen as an other. So you're not comfortable expressing your opinions, whether that be in class, different RSOs, different campus leadership organizations. And then our third point is that there would be an increase in campus-wide awareness. So not only is there a benefit for Milana students, there's also a benefit for everyone else on this campus. The real world is not majority white, so for students to know how to deal with that, it should start in a place where they can safely unlearn prejudice and ignorance, and the best place for that to happen is on a college campus. So our fourth point is that the percentages of Milana students will increase. So potential students will see that this school really cares about them and wants them for something other than just a statistic. So when they come and they see the different programs like Tu Universidad, or if you were to implement a program, something similar to the Phonathon, where Milana students could call and talk to other potential students who identify as Milana, they'll know that this is a university that cares for them as humans. So before we finish off our presentation, we're just going to sort of give off a couple of different statements, different quotes that we've heard from students throughout the year, over the summer. So I'm going to give it to Brianna.
I like to say that the university needs us more than we need it. So we bring more funding, more credibility to the university when there's more diverse students. We do appreciate the faculty. We want us to feel comfortable speaking to them when we have faced hardship. However, that support needs to be shown at all times, not when we're around. So actually be allies and come to our events and actually like address discrimination from like white students. And we also have policies that support the needs of diversity, but it needs to be enforced heavily. So bringing more diverse faculty and more diverse students, so our retention rates can be more stronger.
Okay, so I just have a couple of quotes that I've heard from different students. So the first one is that they want us on the brochures when we're smiling and happy, but they don't do anything when we're hurting. The next is that they want us here as statistics, but they don't value us as people. And the last is that we pay just as much as other students to go to here, so it doesn't make sense that we should have to constantly defend our identity. And so our last statement is that progress cannot be assumed. We aren't up here to be pitied. We want to be heard and we want to see action. We appreciate all the programs that are in place, but not only do we want them to do better and to be more, we need them to. So we welcome all replies.
Thank you again, guys. Thought that was pretty powerful, didn't you? I think it's awesome that they have this opportunity to sit here and kind of explain the things that they're going through, right? These are lived experiences, these are the things that they're facing, and I think that sometimes we may get so busy and caught up in the things that we're doing that we don't realize that these issues exist, right? And these students are here to kind of explain that and to kind of show that these are issues that need to be addressed, and they're here to hear responses, right? To hear replies. So thank you again, and thank you to all the students for the presentation. So can we get a round of applause for all of them? So like I promised, if you have any questions, feel free to raise your hand and I can pass the mic to you. So, does anybody have any starter questions? Or even comments? We have some comments too. So, yes.
I'd like to thank everybody for that last presentation. You know, since I came here, I've been talking about some of these same issues, and I had to get my calculator out and look at our current admissions numbers. And I think that the historical perspective is important, but I think that the contribution you make to helping us look forward is probably more important, because we want change. So I thought I'd tell you that our incoming class this year is 7.5% of the incoming class self-identifies as Black, 12% self-identifies as Latino. That is something like a tripling in 2 years of those who self-identify as Black, and about a 50% increase in those who self-identify as Hispanic. That means we've got work to do, but that means we're moving in the right direction, and it's because of people like you who are pushing in this direction, so keep it up. You also need to know that our new provost, Mark Brodel, and I are going to be at the Man Picnic on Sunday, and one of the things we're going to talk to people about is hiring processes. And following that, we have a group of trustees and other alums with whom we're meeting to talk about diversity hiring and to address one thing that I think you forgot on your list, because it's more than just good feelings. We're competing in a very competitive market for people who are hard to attract and hard to keep, and so we're going to be talking to the friends of this institution about how we add that last piece of the puzzle, which is paying people in order to attract and retain them. Thanks again, though, and keep up the good work.
Is there anybody else with a comment or question? So, and if you'd like to say your name as well, so we know.
Hi, so my name is Melissa. I'm actually an admissions counselor here. I also am an alum of Illinois Wesleyan, class of 2014, class of SCP of 2012. So I did the program, and our topic was exactly similar. We did the history, so all of those things that you guys pulled, we also had a video about it. So we did the history of diversity of Illinois Wesleyan. But I think my comment is, I want to thank you guys as an alumni that you guys continue to have the conversations that I had when I was a student here. And recognizing that this institution, it was not made for you. I learned that when I got here, that this institution is not for me, not a person like me, but we are challenging the norm, and we are challenging by giving information to clearly people who want to learn and learn about us and learn about our struggles. And I can't be any more proud, but yes, we still need to keep going. I really look forward to having you guys on the alumni side within a couple of years, so you guys can help us continue with that battle, because it is an uphill battle. We're going in the right direction, but thank you so much, and we'll see you. We'll keep fighting for it. Okay.
Thank you for that comment. I think it's super important to kind of get that perspective of alumni as well as current students, because it kind of shows like the juxtaposition. So, any other comments or questions? They're eager to answer the questions, I promise.
So I echo the thanks for all of the things that you shared. I always love hearing your internship stories, your experiences with your readings, your own professional and leadership development, and your experience on campus and how we can improve. As I look forward to the first year summer reading program and Between the World and Me and the discussion groups, what advice do you have for the folks in this room who will be facilitating this book and these discussions with our favorite 18-year-olds who haven't been to a college class yet? What advice do you have about how we can be productive and use this book as an opportunity to engage in a meaningful conversation about diversity?
Thank you, Carla. Any student want to jump on them? Yes.
I think I just want to say, don't be afraid to jump into the hard topics. Don't be afraid to talk about the nitty-gritty, the things that people usually censor. Bring those things up. They need to be talked about. They need to be addressed. So.
I would say not to view it from a white lens, because then you will water down the experiences that many African Americans, Latinos experience, not only on a campus, but in the United States. So just like don't be for white lens, take it for what it is, and dismantle the prejudice.
My advice is, because a lot of these students haven't faced the same struggles, they've had a different experience, and to have them look at it not as an attack on them and not try to shame them for being white in America and having a different experience than us, but just try to frame it like, you know, this is another society, or not another society, but it's another experience in general, and it's another just what people go through, and have an open mind about it.
Going off what James said, just know that you'll never have that experience. You may have read a book, but just know that, and just be understandable to those who have had that experience.
Any other person care to share? No? Thank you all for those responses. They're really good.
Hello, my name is Linda Duke. Thank you so much. I learned a lot about our community and some more thoughtful things about the reading that we'll be doing. And I have a question for the people who did, well, actually I think for all of you. So the way, it breaks my heart to hear of some of the experiences that you've had on campus. And it breaks my heart even more to know that these conversations keep happening and we haven't necessarily addressed them as well as we should. So I'm wondering for the students who are current SEP, whether you would be willing to have conversations in the coming year with faculty and staff and students who are open to having these conversations. Because I think one way to push things forward is to take the very important topics that you raised and keep talking about them.
Thank you for the question.
So last year at Wesleyan, we had a microaggression event. It was held by Aaron, I think. Aaron held the event, and it was a good turnout. It was mostly faculty though, so like we do have the events going on campus, but we want more students to come and more students to like tell their story, let their voices be heard, and let them know it's an okay space to tell their story. Because when I attended the event, it was like I sat down, I listened, faculty listened, but like what really changed, like what progress is being made. We could have all the events on campus, but like what we doing after the event happened. So I think that's what we really need to focus on, like what's the next steps forward after the event.
So I want to say, like, I feel like students would act differently with faculty. They'll be more respectful, and with you guys, they're more willing to show their true colors. So in what way could we try to engage a student making those negative behaviors towards other students? I know you guys talk about like making the bias reports and stuff like that, but like how could there be a way to engage those students who are behaving like that otherwise?
And I'm not quite a student. Technically still am, but I think as an institution of higher learning, we ask the question why a lot. So when you hear those comments, whether it's a student, a colleague, somebody who is faculty, staff, administration, what have you, say why. Why did you use that word? Why did you do that? And keep diving into that. Not to make it an attack, to make it what we like to call a developmental moment, but why? So this is the work, and I appreciate you asking, not just of these students here, but of all of us. Because if we're approaching this from a social justice lens, it takes the input and the buy-in of the majority. And that, I'm hearing, is the hardest thing to achieve. So I think what we need to ask ourselves, whether mixed race, whether white, whether what have you, why are we doing the things we're doing, but why not? Why aren't we getting the results that we want? Why aren't we having these conversations? Why aren't you feeling comfortable approaching a white student, perhaps? What systems are in place that are supporting us to have these conversations, and what systems are not there that we need? How can we put a name to that so that we can actually achieve what we need to achieve to support our students better?
Hi, I'm Linda Bolivar. Christy and I are with the Multicultural Leadership Program. We have Jasmine. First of all, I wanted to thank all of you who shared your lived experiences. Not easy to do, especially in a big room like this. Ironically, my husband and I were students here in the 80s, 84 to 88. One of my best friends was African American, and first day he moved into, I can't remember, Gulickal. His roommate had a Confederate flag on the wall. So it's hard to hear. Things are still happening. I also want to say, until the age of video, everybody carrying a video camera in their pocket, when I heard stories, people saying, oh, I was doing nothing and the police beat me up, I wouldn't believe that. And the things that I have seen in the past few years, over and over, you mentioned a lot of those names, I realize how wrong I was. So thank you all for sharing, and keep sharing those stories.
Hello everyone, I'm Scott Sheridan, and I wanted to actually ask a question more about the theme. I appreciate all the comments, and I've learned a great deal and from your perspectives and all of your recommendations, and I'm curious if the students, from your own personal perspective over the SEP, can you articulate your own, the way that you actually see these conversations being part of next year's theme, and how you've kind of personalized that and turned that into something that's really meaningful for you?
I guess the thing stood out to me just for the fact that this is something we have to do now. Change needs to be made now, and who's going to start the change? SEP students, people of color, people at Wesleyan. We have the power. They need us. They need people of color. I think Brianna said, they need us more than we need y'all. So well, not y'all, but yeah. So just what leadership opportunity can we do on campus? What 10-point plan? Let's make a manifesto of a 10-point plan. Let's go to the meetings of the review boards. Let's talk about what needs to be changed, and let's talk about it now. And let's call the people of color together and let them know, oh, only 1 or 5 of us, we can't do it. We need all of us to make the change happen.
Anybody else care to share? Any more questions or comments? Well, thank you. I think those statements and those questions are really insightful, especially probably for the students who are on this campus and who experience those things. And I appreciate the questions. I appreciate the honesty, right? And this is a space where we should feel safe, right? This Office of Diversity and Inclusion is hosting this, right? So we always want to have these spaces where people feel comfortable enough to share their experiences or share questions. So thank you once again. So can we give a round of applause? So Greta is going to introduce the next part.
All right, let's give a hand for Frankie. Such a polished student affairs professional before he's technically a student affairs professional. Well, thank you. For sake of time, we're going to move forward with our program, but thank you so much. I think this is the work we need to do. Thank you so much, students. It is so difficult to be that open, to be that vulnerable, to put yourself out there because you don't know how people are going to respond. And so thank you so much for doing this. Thank you so much for doing this for other students who need that voice to be heard, right? So thank you. So given that, we'll go on with our recognition part of our ceremony really quickly. So what we'll do is I'm gonna call up every student, and if you can come up and get your certificate and then just stand there, and Frank is gonna take a lovely photo of you. Okay, all right, Alpha Moreno. And again, Alpha was that ARC in the West Side. Great. Anna Kanai, and she was at YWCA, the Mission Impact. Antoinette Jackson, and she was at Mark First. Okay. Brianna Williams, and she was also at YWCA Mission Impact. Okay, Connie, I'm gonna try, and you're probably gonna correct me again. I'm gonna try, Connie. Okay, Young Yun. And she is at Special Olympics Accounting Department. Jeff Waugh, Gus Castro, he was at Illinois Justice Corps. James Edmond, and he was at Advocate Broman. Jasmine White, she's at the Multicultural Leadership Program. Vandana Jill Rajarathnam, and she was at the IWU Biology Department doing research. Monica Munoz, and she was at Mid Central Community Action in their finance department. Olivia Padilla, and she was at YWCA, the marketing and social media. Vishnu Velupula. Vishnu Velupula was at Allied Health. Sorry, Vishnu. So again, thank you so much, students, and thank you for all your hard work. And even more so, thank you to the site supervisors. So students, if you can grab your gifts or your site supervisors. So thank you so much, again, for the people at ARC and Mission YWCA, Mark First, Special Olympics, Illinois Justice Corps, Advocate Broman, Multicultural Leadership Program, Biology Department here at IWU, Mid Central Community Action, and Allied Health. And so to wrap up, we're going to have closing remarks from Brandon Common, who's Assistant Dean of Campus Life.
So Anthony just told me we're good. We don't need any more remarks. So I'll keep it short. That's all I want. So my first question is, Connie, did you like get something for discovering that $40,000? Like getting something for it? That $40,000 that you said that you found that.
You have to ask which side of the ledger was it on.
You said 40,000. I'm thinking that's worth dinner or something. So definitely. Frankie, when you talked about the SEP students not wanting to speak, I had the opportunity to do a presentation for the students, and I think I'm a pretty good presenter, and I came up with a cool idea. And when it got to the questions, they were like, I think I must have asked Greta 3 or 4 times after the fact, was I okay? Like, they like me? I don't want to waste people's time, but they were just, she said I did okay, so yeah, but really, I just want to thank you. I want to echo what everyone else said. I want to thank you for allowing us us to hear about your experiences this summer. SEP is one of my most favorite programs and events on campus. And it's not because of the phenomenal themes that SEP has, but they do. It's not because of the books, because they are great. It's really because for over 20 years, SEP has provided a premier leadership experience for Milana students on campus. Students who, much like you, have been innovative, intelligent, driven, thoughtful, and exceptional. So thank you for that. I really do want to thank you. And also what I really appreciate are the outcomes. I love to hear what you did, like Carla mentioned. I love to hear about your experiences. I was jotting down notes and I'm thinking about like the skills you picked up, organizational skills, problem solving skills, professional writing, learning how to fix a copier, Gus. That was great. These things are great. And so for my internship folks, thank you so much for hearing about your experiences. What I really took from that is that you worked to improve the community. And so I really appreciate the social justice connection between the internships. Thank you for talking about that. And I hope, and I really did hear what you said, especially Gus with that, the videos were killing me with those. I'm laughing. I wasn't laughing at you, Gus. I took my seat the whole time looking over here. I wasn't laughing at you, but those videos, I'm like, okay, they were funny. But what I hope you took from that is it helped to move you closer to your vocation. It helped to move you closer to thinking about what you want to do after you leave Illinois Wesleyan University. I hope that it helped you to think about not only doing well, because we want you to do well, but also doing good in what you do. My book group, fantastic. I love this book. I've read it 2 times, and you made me want to go back and read it again. And it was just that powerful. And I thank you for sharing your personal experiences. I thank you for pulling out meaningful quotes to you. I really enjoyed that. That made me think about one of my favorite quotes, and it's from James Baldwin. He says, the paradox of education is precisely this, that as one begins to become conscious, one begins to examine the society in which he's being educated. And I took that away from what you all said, and it ties me to my final group, the group that was examining and being critical of Illinois Wesleyan University. Thank you. You know, President Jensen talked about some of the things that we're doing, Carla mentioned some of the things, but we need more, and we know that. We need more. Thank you for speaking your truth. Thank you for continuing to hold us accountable. I encourage you to continue, like several people mentioned, I encourage you to continue to speak your truth, to continue to come out and be a voice and hold us accountable, to come to things like the Diversity Progress Report, to come to those presentations, to read the reports and share and really talk to everyone and talk to us and continue to help the faculty and staff to help make this place the place that it should be for everyone. So what I could tell is that you took a long time grappling with and really trying to understand the evolution of revolution, and I appreciate that. That's our intellectual theme for this year. Those of you who know me, you know I'm about to issue you a challenge. I want to challenge you to continue to have these conversations after you leave this summer. I want to continue to challenge you to help us to champion the evolution of revolution on our campus this year. You've had great conversations. You've talked about what it means to you. You've thought about what does it mean within the context of between the world and me. But I want to really challenge you to help us to really engage our students in programming and conversations and events that really help us to think about the evolution of revolution across various fields of study, across countries, across time frames, and across groups of people. You've been committed this summer, but I want to challenge you to continue to be committed. And I also want to tell you to really make sure that you keep in touch. I was so happy to hear that you form relationships. Gus, what you mentioned about them making you better, that's what this is about. It's about helping to make each other better. It's about building community. It's about having allies. I hope that you take advantage and you benefit from each other with whatever time you have here, from my seniors to my sophomores, but to continue to take advantage of each other, not only while you're here, but after you leave Illinois Wesleyan. And so I have a few quotes, because I'm a quote guy, and I already mentioned one, but I have a few quotes about revolution. And I want to challenge you to think about after this summer and as you go into your school year and you continue to think about the evolution of revolution. The first one says, it's by Ian Sumholder. I can't let time move without fighting tooth and nail and hopefully being part of a revolution that is positive. Bill Ayers said, every revolution seems impossible at the beginning, and after it happens, it was inevitable. And finally, Aung San Suu Kyi said, for me, revolution simply means radical change. So I want to challenge you to continue to help us to change Illinois Wesleyan for the better. I thank you for all you did this summer. I thank you for continuing the legacy of SEP. Have a great time in St. Louis, and thank you all for coming out.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you for coming, and enjoy the rest of your day. We're going to hang back and process as a group, but feel free to talk to the students if you want to have some comments or follow up to their presentations or anything of that nature. But thank you so much. And if there's any, I don't think they took the food. If there's anything left, help yourself. I don't think there is, but thank you.